This program is a collaboration of personal opinions and individual free thought. It does not represent the views or narrative of the mainstream corporate media hacks. Viewer discretion is advised.
And here we go.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Break the Bell podcast. I don't know what happened to my intro there. Oh, I know what happened to my intro. I lost everything. My whole computer crashed, and I had to find everything all over again, and I forgot that there was supposed to be something right there, and I didn't put it. Oh, you're muted. Man, we're on a roll here. My computer took a massive shit in the last 2 weeks. I think we talked about it a little bit last week.
Yes, yep. I remember you had to
well,
your ass last week.
I found out, and maybe somebody knows more than I do about computers, but like the main profile just like took a shit, and so it was like reverted to like a temp profile.
Oh, yeah.
So then every time the computer shuts off, everything goes away. That was done.
Gotcha.
Well, I sat there and tried to screw with it because I could still get back to all my files and everything. So I decided to screw with it, which was a mistake because I ended up losing everything, like literally every video, every file, all my intro music, everything. So I had to go back. Somehow I managed to find this intro music again. And
nice.
It's just like non-copyright music on YouTube. And that's literally how I found it the first time, was just type non-copyright music and just went through and found. And so I typed that in. I went through probably 50 songs, and then I found this one. I was like, oh shit, I found it. But I forgot about our little like intro ditty. I forgot to put that in there. So it wasn't there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was like highly disappointed. I was like, what's happening? Where's that?
Yeah.
That sweet, deep, bassy voice. But we're here. That's all that matters. I had to put literally everything onto this MacBook. It's a little bit older MacBook, so hopefully it holds up. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm down for it.
How are you doing, Bill?
I'm doing really good today.
You've got to be doing better than me because I spent the last 2 days making this work.
Yes.
You take for granted the things that have been set in place for 3 years now, and it's just always worked.
Right.
Like it took forever to set up the first time, and so when it took a shit this time, I was like, oh no, I know how much I put into that, and I have to do it all over again.
Yeah.
So, but how's everybody out there doing? We are live. This is the Break the Bell podcast.
Yeah. 1 day late, but we're here.
We are a day late. I wasn't going to bring that up. I was hoping nobody would notice, but
they always notice. It's on me because
it is on you.
My daughter had a softball game, and so I reached out and I was like, hey, daughter has a softball game. And you're like, oh, no problem. We'll just do Tuesday. Well, then we decided to let my daughter skip her softball game because it was a friend's birthday and they were going to Lost Island. And so then I reached out and we're like, hey, I can still do it. And you're like, too late.
What's funny is because I don't know if you know this, but I've been wedding DJing on the side.
I did
lately.
know that.
I was almost as soon as you had canceled for Monday, my partner DJ reached out and was like, hey, can you do a FaceTime consult with a potential client on Monday? I was like, yeah, that'll work perfectly. And so then that night you reached out and you're like, hey, I can do it now Monday. I'm like, too late. I already have this set up. Then last night rolls around. It was supposed to be at 7, which is when we were supposed to do this. At 6:50, I get a text. He's like, hey, they can't do it tonight. Can you do it tomorrow on Tuesday? I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't do that.
Yeah.
How about Wednesday? He's like, okay, that works. I was like, I can't just jump back and forth. But and I hadn't even started the process. I hadn't even at that point thought about what it was going to take to put everything back on here.
Right.
So I was just like, well, I'm not going to do this. So I'm going to sit down and look over stuff for my. Oh shit! I don't have a computer, and so. When were you like, oh shit, I gotta switch it over to the MacBook? Last night about 7 o'clock,
Oh, okay.
or maybe a little later. So it like spent probably 2 hours last night and then another 2 hours probably today switching all over. So that is the dedication that we have to maybe not necessarily being on time, but actually getting you a show, because
being here, we're here.
I almost just flat out canceled it because
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't even know where to start. But I was
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make this work one way or another. I would have just live streamed without the intro music and stuff before I canceled it this week. So, but we're here and we had intro music. So
we did. So that's 2 for 2.
Merry Christmas to all of you. This week, speaking of
Christmas,
I don't know. Speaking of self-sabotage, this episode's entitled Self-Implosion for various reasons. We're going to be talking about, there's a lot of stuff in the news.
A lot of weird stuff.
A lot of weird stuff. Number one is this freaking submarine that just disappeared.
Yeah.
While looking for the Titanic, ironically, it just decided to have a freaking major malfunction.
There'll be a movie about this in like 2 years.
Oh, that's going to be fucking hilarious. And then the other is apparently Russia supposedly had an almost coup.
Yeah,
it was like a buildup, and it was just like, there's going to be a coup, and as they're coming, and all Russia is going to implode on itself, and then all of a sudden it's just like not. Exactly. The coup imploded on itself, not Russia. So those are the two main things I want to focus on tonight. Obviously, we got to throw out some conspiracy theory, especially with the Titanic thing, because I mean, why not? There's plenty of conspiracy theories surrounding the sinking of the Titanic to begin with, so we might as well throw out some about the Titan sinking, while going and exploring the conspiracy.
I've even heard a couple of conspiracy theories regarding this supposed coup.
Really? Well, enlighten me. I've got my own theories of the coup, but enlighten me once we get there.
Sure.
Before we get into that, we always have to remind you to check us out all over social media, because we are on social media. And if you are on social media, you should check us out on social media. You can find us all over the social media at our handle, which is at Break the Bell Pod. Like, subscribe, share, smash those buttons down there. Just mash them all, like run your hand across. Except, well, YouTube doesn't even have a dislike. Do they have a dislike button?
They do, yeah.
Oh, they just don't record the dislikes anyway. Just don't smash the dislike button. If you don't like us, let us know why, at least in the comments, before you hit a dislike button, because that's what adults do when they don't like something. They don't just give them a big nah. No, they like talk it through, and maybe we can come to some terms and maybe find some middle ground, or maybe we'll just tell you you're freaking retarded.
Like,
I don't know,
Karen, what don't you like about us?
But either way, let us know what you don't like about us. If you do like us, share it with people that would like us. Share it with people that wouldn't like us. Just share it. Just share the shit out of it. That's all we ask. The biggest thing you can do. Check out our web store, which is at breakthebellpod.com. You can get access to all this. I'm having trouble with this new mouse. It's like it's an Apple mouse, so it's
a fancy mouse.
It's just different. Everything's just different on it. Like everything I'm doing is different. Like on a Mac, the close button is on the wrong side. It's like on the freaking left side of the screen is to the. I'm not used to. I'm old, okay? I'm on Facebook, all right? Check out our web store, which you can find at breakthebellpod.com. Get access to our shirts, such as the I Won't Eat Your Bug shirt, the We Are Not Your Pawn shirt. We got to have a Titan, Team Titan or something like that shirt.
There you go.
I don't know. Titan underwater scuba team or something. I don't know. You come up with an idea and let me know, and we'll have a Titan submarine swim team shirt or something like that. I don't know. It'll be great though. Like I said, you can buy all this merch at breakthebellpod.com. Support us if you want in a little bit more manner than just listening. Otherwise, just keep freaking listening, because that's why we do this every week, is for you to listen primarily, and for you to buy awesome shit and look cool.
Yes.
And make us rich at the same time.
And famous,
but mostly rich.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did we decide mostly rich or mostly famous? I can't remember.
Originally, we were famous. We wanted to be famous, but I think rich is better.
Yeah, I think I would just rather be obscure and rich right now than famous and not. We're going to get right into this show as long as everything holds up. And when we come back, we're going to talk about self-implosions because
everybody has them.
Everybody's talking about it. We'll be right back in just a minute.
What did you say?
You talking to me?
What the heck are you talking about?
What did you say?
What did you say?
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What are you saying?
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Well, maybe he was talking to me.
What'd you say?
Talk to me.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, baby.
Did you just say?
What did you say?
You listen to me. Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me?
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
It's interesting in music.
Now, I have to point out, I couldn't find the old post intro music.
Okay.
I looked. I didn't even know where to look because it was just that weird beat thing. It's like, what do you type in to find that?
Yeah.
But I found this, which is
It's cool. I almost expect someone to come and deliver a pizza with extra meat, though.
I mean, maybe somebody is. Did you ever think about maybe I got a surprise for you, Bill? I mean, what a better way to celebrate our comeback, which they didn't know we were gone, but I knew we were gone.
Yeah,
it was just
that's
like,
true.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just like, you know what? Fun, cool ass music. It's very distracting. We are talking about, speaking of everything going to shit, we're talking about self-implosions tonight. The things that make national headlines.
Yes. Yes.
Like, seriously, the stories that just end up on, like, blowing up on the national level. Yeah. Like, would you... First of all, question for you.
Yes.
Would you ever pay $250,000 to get in basically a steel propane tank and drop to the bottom of the ocean to see the Titanic shipwreck?
Oh, hell no.
$250,000. You want to do it? What if you're
No.
a millionaire or a billionaire? Would you?
No, not even then.
Yeah.
I would consider like maybe going to space.
Oh yeah.
But
Space isn't as dangerous as.
it's probably more, but that's a little bit cooler, right? Than going to see the Titanic, right? If I wanted to see the Titanic, I would just rent the movie.
Right. I mean,
I've never had a big interest in Titanic at all.
I mean, it's a cool story. I'd be interested to see what's like down. I'd be interested to get my hands on something that's down there.
Right.
But if I'm like looking at it from distance,
Right.
like, oh, I bet that painting's worth $1 million. Like, oh, cool. It's like, no,
But-
if I was able to like scuba dive down and like grab it and bring it back and make some money for myself, then sure.
Right.
But
Well, I mean, even exploring like the deepest depth, because if you look at the depth of where the Titanic is,
it's like
it's way the
2.5
fuck
miles
down there.
or something
Yeah,
like that.
I mean,
way down.
it's way down there. But if you look at like the building of this craft, there's no way in shit I'd get in that
like
thing.
I said, it's
It
virtually
was-
like a steel propane tank.
Well, yeah,
like
it
you
was
see out on a
shady
farm.
as hell. It had like weights that it's supposed to drop the weight so it can go back up. I mean, it had little remote control.
Oh no!
Video-
No,
okay,
no,
all right,
stop.
sorry.
We'll get into all
Anyways.
that. We'll get into all that.
You couldn't pay me to sit in that thing
No?
and at Palo.
I not even 250. What if I offered to pay you $250,000 to go down there?
No.
I would, just because I would do almost anything for money. So
yeah, I don't know.
I'm a cheap
now
lord.
you give me $2 million, we'll talk. But
Yeah.
250,000,
Yeah,
no.
there's not a lot I wouldn't do for $2 million though.
Yeah, no, me neither.
I mean, I'm not gonna name what I would, but there's not a lot that I wouldn't.
So if you're listening and you have some cash to spare,
So apparently, this is what rich people do, though. Yeah, like their life has gotten to the point where it's just like life's not exciting enough for you.
I can think of exciting things to do.
Yeah, but
For $250,000.
I know, but the thing is, you're not rich though. Like they've done, they've
No,
like
I'm
done it all.
Yeah, I guess.
They've like literally done everything. So it's just like, what's the next step? What's the next? Like the one guy in the sub went to fucking space. He was like on the Blue Horizons with freaking Jeff Bezos.
Oh, okay.
He went out there with Jeff Bezos, and then he's like, that wasn't good enough. Let's drop down and I don't know, see a shipwreck from 100 some years ago. And that didn't work out. It's like you survived space, dude.
Right.
On one of the first like commercial flights into space. You survived that. I mean, that was a risk as is. Then you're like, let's up the ante.
Yeah.
Let's drop myself down to something less cool.
Right.
And in like something that's less probably, it's clearly less regulated. Like the building of this freaking submarine. Like I read that he like completely bypassed all regulations for this thing.
I believe that.
And then the waivers just to go down, like it was basically, there's a good chance you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Sign on the dotted line.
Oh, and I need $250,000 up front.
Right. Up front, yeah. No payment on credit for this one.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the premise we're going with here. So this took place a week ago. Was when this thing disappeared. Was last Tuesday, and apparently it's not the first time one of their subs has like got lost.
Oh, really?
The last time though, they still had contact with up
Okay.
above. Oh, and the other thing I forgot to mention, most of the time, they don't even make it to the Titanic.
Oh, really?
So you pay $250,000 to go down and potentially explore, but depending on weather and shit, they might not make it to the Titanic.
Gotcha.
Like 0 times this year have they made it to the Titanic, apparently.
Okay.
Like every mission has been unsuccessful as far as going to the Titanic. So it's like, what are you paying for then? Just to see the darkness?
And
cool
when you
fish?
first heard about this story, were you like intrigued? Were you like, oh shit, I
No,
gotta pay
I was
attention
like,
to this?
no, that's not real. I was like, that's not a real thing.
Yeah. Well, and I heard it. And I'm like, okay. So, but then I was talking to one of my neighbors who I recently had met, and she was like almost in tears about this thing.
Why?
I don't know.
What?
I
Tears?
just,
Why?
yeah, I don't know. But she,
Like, are we that sucked into everybody else at like the fake world out there that we cry over a billionaire that got in a freaking piece of steel and sunk to the bottom of the ocean and didn't make it back? That makes you that sad?
Yeah.
Like if it was somebody you knew, obviously that'd be upsetting, or somebody,
right?
I don't know, even
or a popular celebrity.
I was gonna say
right?
even a celebrity that you were invested
like
in.
Leo DiCaprio decided to go see where.
That would be ironic.
That would be ironic.
That would be ironic.
I had to look at the story again after that because I'm like, oh well, maybe I missed something, because
people are sad about it. And
Yeah.
there's no reason to be sad
Right.
over this stupid shit. Like no, there's no point at all that I'm like, I'm sad about this. It's
Right.
just like, well, that sucks for their families,
Right.
but they're a dumbass.
Yeah.
And I mean, people die all the fucking time
Right.
in freak accidents, and nobody
Exactly.
doesn't make national headlines.
Right.
Like, what part of this makes national headlines?
Yeah.
What part was
Right.
like, oh, billionaire does something stupid and dies doing something
Right.
stupid? National headline. Now, to compare that, look at like Paul Walker. Like, he got in a freaking fast ass car and drove really fast and
150
stupid
miles.
and died. And that was upsetting because people were, but these are like nobody. I mean,
right. I just read right before I came, Julian Sands, popular 90s sci-fi fantasy actor, went missing in January hiking in California, and they just found his remains.
oh wow.
And so that I was like, oh well, that
That kind of
kinda
sucks.
sad.
I mean, I was sad when Chester Bennington hung
Yeah.
himself.
Oh yeah. yeah.
That one hit me hard.
Well, any of those, Chris Cornell.
Yeah,
You know,
but
I mean,
I don't care about these
You know,
guys. I
no.
really don't.
yeah, I don't either.
They probably were assholes anyway. They're rich
Right.
assholes, which so is
Well, they're probably like, oh, well, we have $250,000. We could give it to the poor, or we could go see the Titanic. You know,
Let's take a look at this story. This is from NPR. Like I said, this first came last Tuesday, so it's about a week old. But it keeps like updating every
Right.
freaking day. It's
Yeah.
it's one of those that just, it's kind of like the Chinese balloons. It just like
Right.
doesn't fucking go away
Yeah.
until it goes away.
Right.
And that's what makes me wonder, like, what's really going on? What's this distracting us from? All that shit that we ask all the time. Because
Absolutely.
it's like, why do we need daily updates on these rich billionaires that sunk like rocks
Yeah.
in a rock to
Yeah.
the bottom of the ocean?
And they're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone. They're not coming back.
So this says, as of last Tuesday night, 5 passengers aboard a submersible in North Atlantic are the subject of an international search. The vessel is owned by OceanGate and designed to explore the site of the Titanic. Authorities estimate that there's only enough oxygen in the submersible to last for less than 2 days. So there's a big difference between a submarine and a submersible. People
Right.
call this a submarine. This is not a submarine. This thing doesn't take off from like a port
Right.
and like float around and like spy on. This
Yeah.
is something that's pretty much dropped in the ocean
Right.
by a ship. It's taken out by a ship, dropped in the ocean by a ship. It has like down and up.
Right.
Basically.
It's like a water, like kind of like a hot air balloon in the water. Right.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And that's it.
Yeah, it goes up and it goes down.
Right.
And so, I mean, there's like, we'll get into the controls of this, but it's so rudimentary. There's literally like an elevator button to take it up and take it back down.
Red flag number 1.
Yeah. Says the 21-foot vessel, which was named Titan, lost communication with its control center on Sunday morning, roughly 1 hour and 45 minutes into its scheduled dive. The U.S. Coast Guard wrote on Twitter. Titan had been deployed from a Canadian expedition ship, the Polar Prince, about 435 miles south of St. John's in Newfoundland, not far from the site of the iconic shipwreck. Why was the submersible diving? Well, because that's what submersibles do,
Right.
first of all. It says the missing vessel is owned by OceanGate, a company based in Washington state that offers underwater voyages to explore the remains of the Titanic from the seafloor. OceanGate is a major chronicler of the ship's decay and shared the first ever full-size digital scan of the wreck site in May. Let's see if we can pull up this digital scan. And this isn't even what they saw. This is just a digital scan, so it could be made up too.
Right. That's true.
So that's it. That's what they're going down to look at.
Okay.
And since it's not a submarine, it's not like they're like floating around inside this thing.
Right.
They literally go down and they're like, "Oh, look at that thing. That's cool."
Okay,
and
let's go.
they go back
Right.
up, I imagine.
They don't even take pictures.
They're probably not. Well, I've heard multiple stories that there's not windows in this. There's like one little porthole. Like most
Yeah.
of what they see though is on a screen.
Right. Well, with the water pressure down there, I don't see how they could have any kind of windows.
Right. I mean, I don't either. But if it's just on a screen, it's like, what do you got to go down there to get? Like, just sit up there, let somebody else go. Let your
Yeah.
robots go
Right.
down there.
And you sit on the boat and
Yeah.
get the pictures.
Exactly. OceanGate is also a pioneer in deep sea tourism economy. For $250,000 a person, the company takes adventurers on a deep sea tour lasting 8 days and stretching hundreds of miles.
8 days.
Well, I mean, I think it's just
Oh,
multiple
from the
different-
ship.
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
they're not down there 8 days because there was
Gotcha,
only like
okay.
2 days worth
Oh,
of
that's
air.
right, yeah.
From St. John's in Newfoundland, explorers travel 380 miles offshore and 2.4 miles below the surface. If successful, they can catch a glimpse of what's left of the 1912 iceberg crash disaster, which took the lives of all but 700 of the Titanic's 2,200 passengers and crew. Today, the ship is slowly succumbing to a metal-eating bacteria, which may cause it to fully disintegrate in a matter of decades. Okay, who cares?
Yeah, right.
Mike Rice, who joined OceanGate to glimpse the deteriorating wreck into 2022, said the trip is less tourism than it is true exploration, and people who dare to try are made well aware of the risks. So here we go. You sign a massive waiver that lists one way after another that you could die on the trip, he told BBC in an interview. They mentioned death 3 times on page 1, so it's never far from your mind. As I was getting into the sub, that was my thought. This could be the end. Would you do it?
I can think of better things to do with $250,000.
Right. But when that's pocket change for you,
I can still think of better things to do. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I would probably go look for lost treasure ships in the ocean rather than go 2 miles down to possibly see the remains of a ship that crashed 100 years ago. I mean, I just don't have that interest.
Says the Titanic touring vessel contained 1 pilot and 4 paid passengers called mission specialists.
I'm sure.
Mission specialists take turns operating sonar equipment and performing the tasks necessary to complete a dive. That's probably where you went wrong.
Yeah,
is you're
right.
taking these billionaires that don't know shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, you can fly. It's like you can fly the plane.
Yeah,
or
right.
you can drive this thing.
What's this dot here going into this thing that looks like a cliff?
It's like, no. Among those paid passengers was a British businessman, Hamish Harding, according to a statement from Action Aviation, a company where Harding works as a chairman. Harding holds 3 Guinness World Records, including the longest duration, 4 hours and 15 minutes at a full ocean depth of 2.88 miles by a crew vessel. He holds a much longer record now of duration at the bottom of the ocean because
forever.
He's just there indefinitely. Shahzada Dawood and his son Solomon, 2 members of a prominent Pakistani family known for investing, were also on board of the vessel, according to a statement. A 4th person is Paul Henry Narguillet, a French expert on the Titanic. His agent has confirmed to several outlets. Narguillet serves as director of RMS Titanic Inc., the U.S. company that owns the salvage rights to the Titanic site.
Interesting.
Why does a U.S. company own the salvage rights? So if somebody went down there and was to like get something off the ship, that these people would come out and it's like, we own that shit.
Right.
We bought that shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So who went and bought the salvage rights to the Titanic from the British company that developed? It's just like, just in case someday in the future we are able to get down there and get some shit off this, we should buy that. I wonder what that costs. That's like buying a freaking star for your girlfriend. It's like,
he probably watched the movie and he's like, motherfucker, I want that stone of the ocean. I know it's down there.
Titan's pilot and the 5th person has been identified as OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush. So the company CEO is dead down there with them. So it's still unclear why the submersible lost communication with its control crew on the expedition ship. Ahead of its launch, OceanGate said it would rely on satellite-based internet company Starlink for the communications necessary for carrying out the expedition. I'm guessing Elon Musk is glad that they mentioned that in their press release.
No joke.
A text message-based system relying on underwater acoustic position normally allows the Titan to communicate with the control ship. OceanGate says its vessels are equipped with some basic emergency medical supplies and 96 hours of life support. And for good reasons, this is not the first time the submersible has gotten lost. This one guy traveled on an OceanGate expedition to see the Titanic last summer, recalled that the control room was unable to help the submersible locate the wrecked liner for roughly 3 hours due to technical difficulties. The difference this year is that it seems like they lost contact with the ship. They can't even reach the sub, and that's really scary. He added factors like bad weather and mechanical issues mean submersible vessels rarely make it to the Titanic despite the expensive price tag. This season has seen 0 successful dives. So it gets into what it's like inside this submersible, this coffin,
this little
the sarcophagus.
Yes.
It says videos from his initial Sunday morning report on OceanGate show him reading from the mission specialist waiver, which points out that the Titan has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body. How does this happen? Like, you can't even run a fucking barbershop in town without like meeting specific licenses and going and like getting haircut licenses. Like, you can't cut somebody's hair on their head without regulations.
Yeah.
How does this billionaire or whatever millionaire. I don't know. How does he
Yeah.
decide, you know what, I'm going to run a business. I'm going to make millions on this business, dropping people potentially to their death, zero oversight and zero regulation.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Money.
Well, obviously money.
I mean, he pays the right people. He's got the connections to look the other way. And yeah, so, I mean, you know, they don't care.
So you want to take a look at the inside of this thing?
Yes.
If this video will load for me. Come on, YouTube. Kind of looks like, doesn't it kind of look like Jeffrey Epstein in that like blurry image there?
Yeah, he kind of does.
Maybe it is. Did you stop and think that maybe that is Jeffrey Epstein?
Maybe he faked his death twice.
I got this from Camper World. We run the whole thing.
Did you catch that?
Camper World.
That like handle thing on top was just improvised handle from Camper World.
Oh.
Game controller.
Come on! Look at that
We only have
controller.
one button. That's
Did you see that controller?
I did, yes.
It
I
is
have one like it at
literally
home.
a $30 Logitech
Yeah.
video game controller with like extended joysticks on it.
Yeah.
And it's wireless too.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Like, I don't know, was it Bluetooth? Was it 2.4? Like, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I do know that controllers do tend to like lose their range sometimes. And
Yeah,
I don't know
right.
what the range is like in like 2.5 miles under the ocean. If it's still, I don't know how that shit works, but apparently he thought it was good enough.
I guess.
Now, oh shit, I don't want Ben Shapiro.
I'm not denying your humanity. If
fuck?
you are
I don't want Ben Shapiro.
I got these from Camper World. We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Come on!
We only have one button. That's it. It should be like an elevator. You know, it shouldn't take a lot of skill.
An experimental submersible vessel that has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and could result in physical injury, disability, emotional trauma, or death.
So, would you do it?
No.
How about now?
No.
Now would you do it?
Even less so.
Why?
Because it
If you
looks like
walked in there, let me see if I can get my screen to change. If you walked in there and you saw that, like they're like, all right, we're gonna show you around this, and then we're gonna have you sign the waiver. And he's like, look, I got these state-of-the-art controls, a state-of-the-art button, one button.
nothing about that was state of the art.
But the thing is, and maybe we'll get into it in some of the other articles, but they tout this as like the most technologically advanced, like private submersible out there. And it's like, where? Like, what part of that?
It looks like what Elliot made for ET to talk to his people back in space.
I mean,
I there's no way in hell. No, no.
So this story just keeps going. It's kind of weird. It's a weird one. Like first, so this I think came out Wednesday, and they're like, yeah, we hear sounds down there. We
Right, there was like
noticing sounds. I don't even know what the sounds were, but they noticed sounds.
Somebody
like,
tried
"That's
to tell
gotta
me
be
it
it."
was Morse code, right? That they were trying to get a signal out.
All right. Well, I don't know about that, but I do know that sounds made up.
Yes, I know
Like
that as well.
completely made up. Man, this is going so freak. There we go. So this is from USA Today, and it says rescue efforts were expanding and underwater noises were detected in search for the missing submersible carrying 5 passengers to the Titanic wreckage site, says a Coast Guard official on Wednesday. An expert submariner from the British Royal Navy, a team of French specialists on remotely operated vehicles, and more ships and underwater vessels were joining the search, said Captain Jamie Frederick, the first Coast Guard District Response Coordinator. The search was growing exponentially across a surface area roughly 2 times the size of Connecticut and 2.5 miles deep, he said. There's an enormous complexity associated with this case due to the location being so far offshore and the coordination between multiple agencies and nations. The 22-foot submersible lost contact with the support ship Sunday, about an hour and 45 minutes into its dive. Now, let's say you and some friends decide to go, like, I don't know, hiking in a remote area.
Okay.
And
which is possible.
Much
more possible than me doing that.
Sure. But you're hiking in this remote area that's highly dangerous area, and all of a sudden you lose contact with society.
Okay.
I mean, yes, people are going to send a search squad for you.
Yeah.
Yes, your family's going to look for you. Probably the National Park Service, potentially police, local police. I don't know. Maybe you'll even get the attention of like the mayor of your town or something. I don't know.
Doubtful, but okay.
Like 5 or 6 countries just stop what they're doing and send rescue missions to come find you?
No.
One
country doesn't stop.
No. What is it about these fuckheads?
Yeah.
That they're like, the British Royal Navy and the Coast Guard and the French, like some whatever private freaking boating service. I don't remember what they called it, but like all these agencies getting together and they're like, oh, we got to find these guys. We have to find out what happened. It's like, okay, they're being stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't discredit them for wanting like doing some dare. I mean, it's same as like skydiving or something. You're taking a fucking risk. But if I went skydiving and disappeared in the Congo somewhere, you damn believe 3 countries aren't going to come looking for me.
No.
I'll be lucky if my freaking wife comes and looks. There's
So what is it about the story that has captivated the imaginations of the whole country?
That's the big question.
3 countries.
Yeah, it's like what is so important about this that all 3 of these countries are like, dude, stop what you're doing, send your best divers, and we gotta find this shit.
Yeah.
Because to me, I'm not seeing anything that's just like, oh my God, this is a crisis. We got to find these people. Yeah. Yes, it sucks.
Yeah.
But like an international crisis?
Yeah.
No, probably not.
No.
The 22-foot submersible lost contact with the support ship Sunday, or I guess this was clear back on Sunday that it lost contact, last Sunday, for about an hour and 45 minutes into its dive. We read this. Yeah, so I think everything else is stuff. So they have less than a day. At this point, they had less than a day's supply of oxygen left. So they're running out of hope pretty damn quick.
Right.
They weren't sure at what point should we shift this from a search and rescue mission to a salvage mission. Like let's find the bodies, find out what happened. So that was at this point.
And the way they went is probably the worst way I can imagine going.
Probably.
I mean,
just run it. Well,
I mean, they got.
Well, yeah, but I bet they ran out.
Crushed.
I bet they ran out of oxygen long
so?
before they got crushed. Yeah, because the next article I think talks about them running out of oxygen. Yeah. Well, this talks about the implosion, and this happened. They think this happened this past Sunday, so a week later, and they would have ran out of oxygen back on like Wednesday. So they probably just fell asleep and died.
Okay.
And then got imploded on and crushed like it. But yeah, that would be. I would rather run out of oxygen than have an instant implosion where it's just like go from this big to like that big in like a matter of a second.
Yeah,
that would suck. Now this keeps going. This keeps progressing. This was back on the 22nd. I think this was Sunday. Now, there's something about this title that they don't really talk about in the article, but I feel they should. Titan sub's fatal implosion likely heard on a U.S. Navy secret acoustic system, says officials. What part of that makes you scratch your head the most?
The Navy's secret acoustic system?
Yes. They have like secret microphones underwater, apparently, in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Why? What are they listening for? And as it mentioned in this first sentence, it says the U.S. Navy acoustic system detected an anomaly on Sunday that was likely the fatal implosion. So when did this one? What day was 22nd?
That was Thursday.
So they detected this the day of.
Yeah.
So I was wrong. It wasn't a week later. It was the day of they detected it. The Navy detected this thing. They went on a search and so that I guess that makes me question more about the official story, because the officials we just read, they were like, oh, we've been hearing all these sounds. We've explored all these sounds. But the Navy heard an implosion that they're like, yeah, that was probably it.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah.
What's the story
Right.
that you've been
Well,
feeding
and
us?
I sent you that timeline that doesn't add up at all.
I didn't see that you sent me.
Hold on here. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
So what this official story they've been stringing us along for almost a week, where hey, they're following these noises, the Morse code, whatever the bullshit is that you said that I said sounded made up.
Yes.
But then just recently, by Thursday, they're like, actually, it imploded the day that it disappeared.
Yeah.
So they just, like you said, poof, vanished. They were like the size of an Oreo cookie within like a second.
That's generous.
You got it or no?
No, I must have sent it.
I don't think it sent me no timeline.
Basically, though, if I can remember, it wouldn't be there. Nope, not there. That they knew about it,
but they just sat on that information the whole week that they were searching for this thing
because they wanted to distract from.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
the distraction stuff. Yeah. But I want to know
that they wanted to distract from the everything going on with Biden and everything.
Sure.
And so they sat on it for almost a week.
But how much money was sent on these boats driving around, these robot diving robots looking for this freaking sub that they supposedly hear people knocking Morse code from 2.5 miles down?
Yeah.
But then it comes out, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we know that imploded like 5 days ago. So that's such a bullshit narrative. That makes, I mean,
it is, and that's my issue with the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. So what? I don't know. What do you think happened? Like, what happened? What the fuck happened? What is this thing? Because I want to get into the conspiracy.
I think that
happened.
Yeah, I think that they just decided to milk it, right? I mean, they decided to extend it out. They knew what happened with these guys, within a couple days, and they just decided to milk it out to get past the major news cycle, right, and get it to a place where, they skipped everything else that was going on.
Sure. What do you think about this Navy secret acoustic system? Because they don't mention it again. I scrolled through the article. I'm like, what the fuck is this Navy secret acoustic system?
Yeah,
underwater microphones.
That's some
what is
weird
this shit
right there?
Like I feel like you're glossing over a really important fact in this.
Yeah.
It's like, the Navy just happened to hear back on Sunday when I know we've been distracting you for 5 days on this now, but back on Sunday, the Navy did pick up it almost sounds made up too, though. It's like, well, the Navy heard it implode, and they're like, heard it? What are you talking? Right. Oh yeah, with their secret acoustic underwater microphones.
We put mics on dolphins.
And that's probably it. It's like our underwater secret microphones. It's like,
but this reminds me of the Malaysian airplane.
Yes. Did they ever find that?
They've found pieces of it. There's a documentary on Netflix. Jen yesterday, my wife was like, "Did you hear about this plane?" I'm like, "In 2014."
Where has she fucking been?
I know. I was like, "You're just now hearing about it?"
What hole does she live in?
I know. She goes, "Do you want to watch it?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to see that. I've heard enough about it."
Good God, man.
So yes, that reminds me of this. I feel like they just milked shit out of it. They're going to be talking about it for the next 2 weeks. What went wrong, and what if you look at the structure of the thing, that tells you what went wrong with it.
What is the state of the art system that they talked about? I want to see where it says that. Maybe it's in this one. After detecting the sound of an implosion just 500 meters from the Titanic shipwreck, the Navy went back and analyzed its acoustic data. They found the anomaly was consistent with an implosion or explosion in the general vicinity of where the Titan submersible was operating. The official spoke on condition of anonymity. That word comes up so many times in our podcast, and I can never get it right. It says, from the beginning, the odds were overwhelmingly against the occupants, who were lost more than a mile below the sea with no way to communicate with the surface and no sign of life for days. A debris field, which was a sign of massive damage, was found about a third of a mile from the bow of the Titanic. The debris is consistent with a catastrophic loss of pressure of a pressure chamber. The implosion collapsed the Titan, instantly resulting in its violent breakup and scattering as it descended to the seafloor. That would also explain the sudden loss of communication. It says it right there. I mean, it just fucking stopped being. And that, I guess that would explain the loss of communication now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what if that's what, maybe there was like a break in the seal.
That's most likely what it was.
Yeah. And so it had nothing to do with like, oh, we lost it, we don't know where it is, and then they run out of air, and boom, it probably literally crushed them.
Now, listen to this world-class journalism. Again, the implosion collapsed the Titan, instantly resulting in a violent breakup and scattering as it descended to the floor. That would also explain the sudden loss of communication, its inability to automatically resurface, and the absence of floating debris.
Yeah.
I mean, that would explain a lot of things.
Checks a lot of boxes.
Almost certainly there would have been no warning. The destruction massive and the resultant deaths instantaneous. It did not collide with the Titanic, according to search officials. It's in an area where there is not any debris of the Titanic. It's smooth bottom. With its oxygen reserves depleted, the 4 tourists and the company's CEO pilot would not have survived. Oxygen reserves did not deplete. The oxygen just was gone.
Yeah.
Like, they're tying two stories together here. It's like, well,
Yeah.
they ran out of oxygen after it imploded.
Right.
Yeah, instantly. Literally instantly.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That would do it.
Like, this whole story is so fucking batshit crazy.
Yeah.
I want to get into the conspiracy theory stuff.
Yeah, because again, they're gonna be talking about this for the next 2 weeks.
Now, this stuff seems a little far-fetched, but
does it?
Why not? But I mean, it's reaching.
Yeah.
At best, it's like reaching.
Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can get this.
Oh, is this the one I sent you?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let me refresh this and unmute it, because I hate like TikTok videos because you can't like rewind them. Okay, there's no volume. Where's the volume? Oh, it's muted. That's why.
Oh.
All right, let's try this again.
Single person involved in the submarine wreck had to do with the largest stories of 2023. Listen, SETI stands for Searching for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. Yeah, it's a non-profit organization that's dedicated its entire business to looking for life in the universe. And, you know, why would it surprise you that one of the guys on the board happened to be inside of the submarine? No, Dylan, no, that's a coincidence. That's fine. But what about this one? Would it surprise you if I told you one of the guys inside the submarine was a manufacturer of the Palestine, Ohio crash chemicals? Like, literally made the chemicals that were in that fire? No. Or if I told you another one of the guys that was in the sub was connected to ASA, Americans for Safe Airspace, dedicated their entire time looking for UAPs. Woo, connections? Literally, this part of the largest stories to break in 2023, right? And we don't even get pictures of these men climbing into the sub, locked from the outside. So no matter what, they're not getting out. This is legit coffin getting sent to the bottom of the ocean where no human would ever be able to go, right? Ever. You and I would never find them. And then the submarine's going to literally implode because the guy behind the creation of the submarine bypassed all the rules and regulations for depth. Come on, people. No, I think not. This is a conspiracy. We got something on our hands. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Let's get to...
Now, this guy sounds like he smokes a lot of weed.
Yep, I agree with that.
He's one of those like, did you hear this one?
No.
Now, what do you think about those? I mean, he's like, coincidence? I think not. Well, it just happened to be billionaires that do billionaire things, like explore space and then also explore the ocean.
That seems exactly what people that would go pay $250,000 to go see that the Titanic would do, right? Is look for alien life and want a safe aerospace.
Now, the Palestine, Ohio guy, that one's a little sketchy to me. Like, what did that guy know? You know, that one, if it was just the space exploration guys, not that big a deal, but then throw the Ohio guy.
Because I'll be honest, I don't think the alien people were part of the biggest stories of the year. I mean, did anybody really like blink an eye with that? Like, oh shit, aliens.
No, it's more like, Well, might as
Okay.
well.
Yeah, right. We got it. We got everything else going on.
Add that to our bingo card. Might as well. I mean, did you think we would have this on our bingo card? This non-important, who cares?
Yeah.
Information.
Like I said, yeah.
Now, what this does, though, it kind of reminds me of the Titanic conspiracy theories, like the Titanic sinking was a hit job by J.P. Morgan. I want to get into a couple of those just because that one wasn't interesting enough to me. So I'm just like, well, let's tie these into it, because that kind of, in the very least, sounds like he's trying to make it out to be like the Titanic conspiracy theories. So this is from the History Channel. It talks about the craziest Titanic conspiracy theories explained. So have you heard some of these?
I don't think so.
No? So we'll dive into a couple of them. The first one and the first two I'm going to focus the most on because they're the most interesting ones to me.
Okay.
The first one being that J.P. Morgan planned the disaster to kill his rivals.
Interesting.
Hadn't heard that one?
No.
According to this theory, millionaire banker J.P. Morgan planned the Titanic disaster to kill off rival millionaires Jacob Astor, Isidor Straus, and Benjamin Guggenheim, who all perished aboard. The theory hinges on the fact that Morgan had originally planned to sail on the Titanic, but changed his mind shortly before it took off. It almost sounds similar to like 9/11 theories. It's like, well, these one guys were supposed to be, but they just decided not to be in their offices on this day. Or remember the Oklahoma City bombing? Remember a bunch of those guys were the what was it, ATF? Was it ATF agents that were just happened to be out on a freaking sting at the time?
Yeah.
So it sounds similar to those kind of theories. It's like they just happen. Like J.P. Morgan is just like, I just want to sleep in today. I'm not going to go on this like
epic cruise.
It's supposed to be like the biggest thing in history right now. I just decide not to do that. Maybe he's just gotten a spat with one of these like Guggenheim or something. He's like, I'm not going to share a ship with him.
Yeah.
That ship ain't, there's not enough room on that ship separating the two of us.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Astor wouldn't like let his hotel cook my favorite dish.
Says to top it off, the theory claims Morgan wanted to kill them because they opposed the creation of the Federal Reserve, even though Astor
I heard that
and Guggenheim don't appear to have taken a position on it, and Strauss actually supported it.
Yeah.
It says alternative versions of the theory claim the Rothschild banking family or the Jesuits were the ones who arranged Astor, Strauss, and Guggenheim's death.
Jesuits?
Yes. As the Washington Post notes, I love this. Invoking the Rothschilds as an international conspirators is a centuries-old anti-Semitic trope. The Rothschild family founded banking houses across Europe in the early 1800s, and they have been a favorite target of conspiracy theorists ever since. Now, that's kind of like, that would be similar to saying, oh, who's the villain guy today that all the conspiracy theorists go to?
Soros.
George Soros, yeah. And it's just like, oh, it's George Soros conspired to take down the Titanic.
Right, yeah.
That's just kind of, are the Rothschilds, like, not guilty of atrocious things? Probably not. I mean, nobody even knows.
Any other billionaire.
But no, this is like, you're talking like trillionaire type status, in my opinion. Like, you're talking, like, there's the billionaire list and they know how much you make. And then there's the Rothschilds up here and nobody has a fucking clue what they make because they're just.
Were the Rothschilds one that we were part of one of our favorite secret societies?
The Rothschilds are their own secret society.
Gotcha.
They're just, they started all the international banking system.
Right.
So, I mean, they just own all the international banking. The theory resurfaced recently in connection with QAnon, a far-right conspiracy theory detailing a supposed secret plot by an alleged deep state against U.S. President Donald Trump and his supporters. I don't know what that has to do with the fucking Titanic.
I know, right?
Was there a Trump aboard?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they just they're like, oh yeah, this resurfaced with QAnon, and if you believe in conspiracy theories, then you're just like QAnon and those crazy Trump supporters. It's like they got to throw that out there. Like, I haven't even heard the Rothschilds one. It's always been J.P. Morgan because that's just the direct connection. Like, he was on par with those people that saying. And there's never in my limited research of some of these conspiracy theories have I seen, the Rothschilds were the ones that took it down.
Right.
I mean, you probably have those dumbass, like, shallow conspiracy theorists that are like, the Jews did it all, and the Rothschilds sank the Titanic, and it's like, I'm probably going to get sound clipped just by saying Jews did. You know it's going to happen. We're going to get taken off of YouTube, even though we are contradicting that directly. This is another favorite, and it's another one of my favorites. Apparently, the Titanic never sank. Have you heard that one?
I have not heard that one.
This
that would suck for the people who paid $250,000 to go see the Titanic.
Well, a ship sank, but not the Titanic, apparently. People seem to love a good insurance fraud story, so maybe it's unsurprising that this conspiracy theory is one of the Titanic's most popular. The one posits that someone switched the Titanic with another White Star Line ship, the RMS Olympic. But as Paul Burns, vice president curator of Titanic Museum Attraction in Missouri and Tennessee, points out, it doesn't make any sense. Oh, well, at least the museum guy said it, so it must be right. The theory starts with the fact that the Olympic was damaged while sailing from Southampton, England to New York in September 1911 and returned to Harland and Wolff's shipping yard in Belfast for repairs. The company repaired the Olympic and sailed it to New York and back again. It returned to Belfast for more repairs in 1912, a few weeks before the Titanic set sail. The theory claims that some person or people found the Olympic too severely damaged to be profitable, and so at some point switched it with the Titanic to purposefully ditch the damaged ship, reap the insurance money, and kill a bunch of people in the process.
Seems a little scattered.
Now, again, I hate to tie. I'm not like they're like, oh, QAnon. Now, this sounds a lot like some of the 9/11 theories as well. Like, oh, so-and-so, the owner of all the buildings, took out major insurance claims a couple months before the buildings crashed, and he just happened to say, oh, we decided to pull that one too. Like those kind of theories. It would not surprise me at all if some billionaire was like, and maybe it was in cohorts with JP Morgan. He's like, these people are going to be on the ship. Is there anything you can do? And then the company was like, well, we have this shitty ship.
Right.
We could say this is the Titanic, sail it out there and
sink it.
And then make the decision to pull it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we lose a couple billionaires and we get the insurance money on the Titanic because we're going to say it's the Titanic.
Right.
And then everybody wins in this situation. I mean, it's like 1912's version of 9/11.
Right.
Exactly. It says there are a lot of holes
a little bit
in this theory. No pun intended. But one of the biggest is that the Titanic's insurance wasn't enough to cover the Olympics loss. But here's the thing, though. If the ship's irreparable anyway, some money is still better than no money. And they're not going to get the insurance money at all if it's just irreparable damage. They're going to get some money by saying the Titanic sank off an iceberg.
Right.
So I'm putting holes in their holes right now.
You are.
It's like, well, the biggest hole in this is you want to get nearly enough insurance money to cover the loss of the Olympic. But it was already a lost cause is what it sounds like.
Right.
Excuse me. Let's see. It says the Switch conspiracy founders quite literally on its financial merits alone. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Some other theories are there was a mummy's curse on the doomed Titanic.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there was actually like inscriptions on it or something like I don't know. The ship's number read "No Pope" backwards, which
what's interesting about that is I had met someone,
No Pope,
a couple weeks ago that had that tattoo on them.
No Pope.
Yes, in those numbers.
What? Where do you hang out? I just met a guy with a tattoo that had the inscription of this.
That's really weird. It was on a job. He was a drywaller.
Weird.
Yeah.
Did you ask him about it?
No, and I didn't think anything of it at the time.
Now you're gonna have to ask him about it.
Yeah.
Are you done with the job, or are you gonna
No,
see
no,
him? If you don't ask him about it, I'm going to like freaking fire
no,
you.
I'm gonna ask.
It says the Titanic historian Walter Lord wrote that he received letters from people in Ireland saying this no Pope story began in the middle of the 50s. Yet, as Burns pointed out in his 1986 book, The Night Lives On, there was no such number attached to the Titanic. The whole number painted on the ship was 401, the same as the yard number. And its board and trade number was 131428. Yet even if one of its numbers had read no Pope, there weren't any Catholic workers at Harland and Wolff for it to upset. The company had driven its Catholic employees away in the late 1800s. By the 20th century, Harland and Wolff had a reputation for only employing Protestants. I'm glad.
Unless by having that on the Titanic, it was like the Ark of the Covenant, with the Nazi sign where it like burned it off.
Burned through the ship?
So
Yeah.
maybe it burned through the ship.
I don't know. Any of those seem likely to you?
No.
None of them? Not even?
Well, okay. I hadn't heard it was JP Morgan, but I had heard about Guggenheim, Astor, and Strauss opposing the Fed, and that they were specifically targeted.
I guess if they were opposed to the Fed, then it would make sense, or the Federal Reserve, it would make sense that the Rothschilds were involved because they were the big Federal Reserve, like international banking guys. They set up the Federal Reserve basically in all the countries.
Yeah. So I had heard that one.
Okay.
And yeah, sure. I'll bite on that one.
Now, do you... Now, what about the insurance fraud one?
I've heard that one too, but I had heard that they actually had sunk the ship because the builders had lost a lot of money, and so they decided to sink
I could see that too.
Yeah.
I could see any of those, really. I mean, billionaires will do anything to make money back.
Yeah.
Even kill a bunch of people.
Exactly. Life is cheap.
Yes. They're just pawns, so fuck them.
Yeah.
Now, compare these to what that guy was saying about all these top stories. Coincidence? Right. I think not.
Yeah, right.
Do you think we got a real strong... Do you think we have like one of those conspiracy theories that will span past time, like some of the timeless conspiracy theories?
The only
like
conspiracy I think that's going on with the fact is the fact that the media is purposely milking it.
It's purposely milking it. I do have that list that you were talking about, that kind of timeline.
Yeah.
Not really a timeline, I guess, just a list of other things that they're potentially distracting us from, which is where we like to go, is like, well, while they're talking about this for like 5 days straight, when they know this thing imploded, what else was going on? So this you had sent me, it says, what else happened this week? Apparently $6 billion went missing from the Pentagon again.
Yeah. Whenever that happens, that's a bad thing.
Yeah. What happened last time? A bunch of money went missing from the Pentagon.
A couple planes went into buildings.
And potential insurance fraud case.
Right. Yeah, right.
This one intrigued me the most. JP Morgan and Jeffrey Epstein deleted 47 million emails. I don't even know what that means, but as soon as I saw this, I was like, wait, JP Morgan, the Titanic, JP Morgan, there's a connection here. Yes. We made the connection. I don't know what it is, but
how
did
Jeffrey Epstein do it?
I mean, they must have deleted email. Like, we got to look more into the story because I haven't fucking looked into it, but apparently we missed that. If anybody knows anything about this, let me know what's going on with these. But JP Morgan, Titanic, there's a conspiracy. Coincidence? I think not. Joe Biden is undergoing an impeachment vote in the House. No surprise there. They've been talking about potentially doing that for a couple months now. The chances of Donald Trump winning in 2024 is higher than ever.
That's kind of a reach.
And that's probably a given too.
Yeah.
The two that interested me the most are the $6 billion missing from the Pentagon and JP Morgan. Is that the same? Is it missing, or was that the accounting error that allowed them to send more money?
I bet you that's the accounting error, because
send more money to Ukraine.
Yeah, I bet you that's the accounting error.
So, I mean, maybe a nothing sandwich. Maybe there's something there, but I want to know about this JP Morgan and Jeffrey Epstein deleting 47 million emails. Like, what does that mean? Or was it deleted emails about? I don't know. You find that.
Yeah, I'll look it up here. Let's see.
I think. Do you guys like? What do you think happened with this going back? Do you think? I mean, who fucking like? Should we even care? Should we even be having an hour-long conversation about this?
Probably not. I think they're milking the shit out of it to get our attention off of it. Billionaires decided to play it loose and risky. They went down in a shady as shit submersible. They died.
Right.
Shit happens.
People die. People play, like, people do daredevil things. It's fine. People die from it.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. There's a good chance of it.
Yeah.
I mean, the waiver said you're probably going to die.
Yeah.
And they died. And people are like, oh my God, they died. Well, they knew it was coming.
Yeah. If William Shatner died in space during his visit, I would be shocked.
Then I would be a little upset.
Yeah, exactly. But
I would be shocked.
That was very good.
Thank you. Anything? You got anything yet?
I'm looking.
Or am I distracting you from what you're supposed to be doing?
It looks like. Yep. It was the counting error. So that's
what about I wanted you to look up the deleted emails.
Okay,
God damn.
Jeez. You didn't specify.
I'm about to fucking fire you. While he's doing that, what do you guys think? What do you all think happened? Or do you think? First of all, do you even think this did happen?
Well,
is there a chance this didn't fucking happen?
Yeah, it's a very good chance. I mean, what proof do you have?
There's a
secret acoustic.
There's a great chance these guys just want to get away from their fucking wives, get out of their like $1 billion like alimony checks, and they're like, let's all. They formed a pact. They're like, let's all go fake our deaths and disappear to the Caymans somewhere, and we don't have to pay alimony anymore. I mean, there's probably a better chance of that than a state-of-the-art freaking propane tank with a $30 Logitech. Could they not have like at least like spent the money on like one of the like pro versions of an Xbox controller?
Yeah, right.
Not the
one
$30
that had a cable.
Right, exactly. With that they didn't have to extend the joysticks on. Or like VR goggles or like VR paddles that they could just move their hands around. Like something. There's got to be a better option than a lot. Now,
here's another millionaire that was killed.
I got beef with Logitech right now because apparently Logitech controls don't work on Mac computers. So, a lot of my beef towards Logitech and that controller stem towards my issues with my setting up my MacBook today. So
I can't find any articles, but I mean, so here's a JP Morgan Chase is fined by SEC after mistakenly deleting 47 million emails.
That would probably be it. So they, because remember they were looking into like some JP Morgan shit on Jeffrey Epstein.
So it says, so it says JP Morgan settles 290 million settlement with Jeffrey Epstein's victims.
Okay, so
JP Morgan was fined $4 million for deleting 47 million emails, including some requested in subpoenas. And then it says James Crown, a billionaire businessman who held several leadership roles, including board member of JP Morgan Chase, died Sunday in a race accident in Colorado. That was this Sunday.
What the fuck is going on?
So that's
is that the guy that deleted the emails?
Yes, I believe it is.
Jesus Christ. Derek Ambrose is here. He says, greetings. The free, totally legit event that I organized happened. What we talked about last week.
Yes. Yeah.
Derek, I did see that your inflatables did not show up, so I am highly disappointed in your inflatable company. You need a new inflatable guy, apparently.
Definitely.
He said 5 less people died than in the submersible. 424 kids totally registered. That's awesome. That is awesome.
That's very
and that should be bigger headlines than 5 billionaires sinking to their death, or it's not.
And another one apparently dying in a race car accident.
That deleted 47 million emails,
which
of
literally
Jeffrey Epstein.
happened yesterday.
Oh, well, maybe we should be talking about that instead, but we're not.
Right?
We're talking about something that doesn't fucking matter, because that's what we do on the show. We bitch about them hyper focusing on the shit that doesn't matter for 2 hours straight. We hyper focus on it. So, it is about time for a break. Do you got anything else on this submarine thing? Because we're going to shift focuses after we get back.
I guess look forward to my wife in about 6 years asking if
Did you hear about that submarine that sunk going to explore the Titanic?
There's a documentary on Netflix. You want to watch it?
Does she like Like, I know, does she still have a flip phone? Because I know she did for years.
She was forced to get rid of it. She was not happy about that.
Now, when she finally upgraded, she went to probably like a Samsung S1 Galaxy, the oldest one. Did it still have like the old version of like the internet out there?
I believe it did.
It had it updated with what's going. So she's like scrolling through like 8 years ago, and she's like, "Oh my God, did you hear the Pope resigned?"
It reminds me of Dumb and Dumber. Oh my gosh, we landed on the moon.
Yes, exactly. Did you hear about this Snowden guy? She's just reading all the headlines from 2014. Oh man, I'm glad she doesn't. She's not going to hear this for 6 years, so 8 years, so we're good. You'll be long gone in a fiery blaze by then anyway. We're going to get into a break. If you guys have any opinions on this whole freaking shit story about the submarine, let us know. Again, it kind of reminds me of the China balloon thing. It's just like, okay, like we're really going to focus on a balloon floating over us for a week straight, then all of a sudden we don't anymore because they decided to shoot it down after it got all the way across the United States. But that's okay. And then it just goes away and we're just supposed to forget that thing happened.
Right. Yeah.
That you talked about for a week straight.
Oh, but then they come out and be like, oh, well, there's been millions of balloons that have flown over the country.
Oh, yeah, that's just a thing.
Yeah. Right.
That's just normal.
Yeah. I'm more irritated by the fact that we got this smoke down here from that Canadian wildfire.
Oh my gosh. No, that's a conspiracy theory of its own because you could smell it today. The first time I was like, that's kind of a stretch to say that a Canadian wildfire is sending smoke down here.
Yeah.
Today, it smelled like burning plastic.
I heard that. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't hear it. I smelled it.
Well,
like driving back from Manchester, I was like, that is not wood fire.
Yeah.
That is like burning the stuff that makes the black smoke that when you throw random shit on your fire, like a couch cushion on your fire or something.
Yeah.
That's what that is. That's not a forest fire up in Canada.
Yeah.
And if it was a forest fire up in Canada, we wouldn't be probably smelling it. Because last week when they said it, or a couple weeks ago, you didn't smell anything. You saw the haze fine.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll give it that. Even back then, I was like, no, they're manipulating the weather. That's most likely what's happening. And this time, I'm just like, all right, what the fuck is this? Because this smells like burnt shit.
They're trying to create a drought in the Midwest.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I honestly believe it. I mean, it's rained like twice all summer long. I mowed my lawn literally for the second time yesterday.
Yeah, I'm about
all
to.
summer. And so, it's blatant weather manipulation, in my opinion.
Yeah, no,
that's where I'm going. Like, you're not going to get me to believe that a Canadian wildfire smells like burnt plastic down here in Iowa.
Right. Yeah.
That's just not a thing.
Yeah.
On that note, let's get into a break. On that happy note, we're going to take a couple minutes, and when we come back, we're going to shift focuses and talk about this supposed potential almost Russian coup. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. We'll be back.
Have you ever thought that maybe voting, maybe all this politics constantly surrounding you is not the way to achieve freedom in your life? Hi, I'm Remso W. Martinez, and I ask myself the same question. That's why I'm on a journey to find true freedom in my lifetime. From learning about financial independence, to new ways to develop rugged individualism, to amazing guests living strange, crazy, amazing lifestyles that you've only thought might be real, but actually are. Go ahead and check out my new show, On the Run with Remso W. Martinez at the We Are Libertarians Network. You can find On the Run with Remso W. Martinez on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. You know how the internet works. Come on down and let's discover how to achieve real freedom in your life together.
Hey everybody, I just want to take this time to give a big shout out to the very first sponsor of the Break the Bell podcast. That is Goulash Media. They can be found at goulashmedia.net. Goulash Media specializes in graphic design, web design, audio recordings, video work, wedding videos, music videos, even political campaign videos. Goulash Media caters to the little guy with the big vision. You can check them out at goulashmedia.net. That's GOULASH media.net. And we're back.
All right, did you have a good break?
I did.
Yeah, good.
I did. Now, we're talking about self-implosions. We're talking about the Titan submarine or submersible that imploded on itself after they strung us along for nearly a week about how they're trying to find it and figure out what happened. Then we find out, oh yeah, the secret microphones that the Navy has like heard it implode back on Sunday.
Yeah.
Now we were kind of getting into. We talked a little bit about the stuff that maybe they're potentially hiding, and you found over break because you don't typically research until like break time, and then you're like, oh, here's the thing we should have talked
things
about.
Popped up, and I was like, oh, well, we should probably look into that.
Yes. Well, there's a thing you sent me, so you could have looked
You're right.
into it
You're right.
before.
I know. I've been working on a big job.
I guess I'll give it to you. So why don't you tell me a couple things?
Yeah.
Don't go too in depth because we got to get to this Russia shit.
Yeah. So this is interesting with the Epstein J.P. Morgan emails. So apparently, Epstein had sent a lot of sexual images to his bankers in emails.
I feel like maybe that's his MO of blackmail.
Yeah.
Or
I think so
maybe
too.
not. Maybe it's just they were like, "Hey, send me some of your clients
Well,
or your
right.
some of your product."
I guess who was the who received these emails, right? I mean, like you said, maybe it was blackmail, right?
Right.
Apparently, the bank paid $290 million to dozens of Epstein's victims. And then it said 47 million emails were then accidentally deleted by the bank.
Oops.
And then they were fined $4 million by the SEC.
Oops.
It says that apparently the bank was very intimate with Epstein. And then on Monday, the billionaire investor / director at JP Morgan that lost the emails died in a auto crash in Colorado.
That doesn't fucking happen.
Yeah.
That doesn't just happen. Like,
not in real life.
Coincidentally, this guy that accidentally deleted these accidentally died in a car crash.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
At what point are we just like, yeah, that's not real?
Yeah, I know.
Like, how? Oh, I don't know. Keep going.
Okay. So that's one thing. And then the other thing that I said that, let's see here, that we saw was the USDA approved Bill Gates lab-grown fake meat to be sold to the public.
I did see that one. I was just like, gross.
Yeah,
never gonna eat that.
No,
but
never.
we probably will eat it because they'll probably just pass it off as regular meat.
We'll never know. They'll just put USDA grade A.
Now, I'm fully convinced that, the chicken strips that you buy at the store, like the tenderloin strips or whatever.
Oh, yeah, the boneless, skinless.
Yeah, just the strip ones. I'm convinced those are grown in a lab because they always have like a little vein thing at the top that looks like a little stem. And I'm just like, I've never found that when you get like a whole chicken and you're like cutting the breast meat off and stuff. You never see that like little chicken stem on top of it.
Yeah.
So
you think they have a chicken tree?
I think they grow it on like chicken trees in the lab.
Weird.
Yes, I do. I am
bizarre.
fully convinced of that. Anyway, anything else?
Yeah, so this is another one we'll have to look into, but 13 political leaders, including Macron, the French president, Biden, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio, and more met to plan a new global financial system.
Great.
Yeah. And then the WHO made a partnership with the European Commission to make digital COVID-19 certificates.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So that's the stuff you missed while everybody was talking about these billionaires that sunk in a metal coffin.
Yes.
It probably didn't ever happen anyway. Yeah. Had you heard of any of these guys really before this?
No.
So they're not real people.
The guy who died in the car crash I'm much more interested about his death.
Right, exactly. But here we are talking about this.
Yeah.
Now, again, I want to shift focuses and talk about another supposed self-implosion, which is Russia. Because we had talked about back in the early days of this war that, I mean, look at Ukraine and how back in 2014,
right.
Your wife's probably just finding out about the Ukrainian civil war.
I explained that one to her.
Okay. Back in 2014, the NED went in and kind of stirred shit up in Ukraine.
As they do.
And what was her name? Victoria Nuland?
Yes.
like single-handedly picked the person she wanted to be the
Yeah.
new president of Ukraine.
Told
And
the
we
European Union to fuck off.
And so when this whole Ukraine-Russia thing kicked off again, we're like, oh, NED is going to shift from Ukraine and now go into Russia.
Yes.
Well, now all of a sudden, it's this faction, a group of mercenaries actually, decides, you know what, we don't like this war and we're going to declare war on Russia itself. Just this random group of mercenaries. Sounds like it has the earmarks of the NED all over it.
It does. Yeah.
Like in Ukraine, it was the Nazis.
Yeah.
And in Russia now it's these mercenaries.
The Wagner Group is what they're called, right?
The Wagner Group,
which is not a sexy name for mercenaries.
It's
right?
really not at all. So this Wagner mutiny, as they're calling it, made the headlines for like 2 days, maybe a day and a half, 2 days. And it was going to be, oh, I forgot. I missed an article. There is one good thing that's coming out of the whole Titan submarines thinking. Netflix has just decided to bring the Titanic back to Netflix.
Oh, God.
To capitalize on this whole thing. And people are kind of pissed. And I'm like, it's capitalism, baby.
Yeah. I'd love to
Why
see
not?
the little trailer for that. Now you can relive the magic.
I forgot that one. Sorry. I got sidetracked there because I saw the article that I missed. So back to the Wagner coup, or the Wagner mutiny, or whatever they're calling it these days. So this is from Politico. It says, Putin in crisis. Wagner chief Prigozhin declares a war on the Russian military leadership. Does this sound like it would, even if it was a thing, is it going to go anywhere?
No, it doesn't.
I mean, I don't know about like how big of a mercenary group this is, but I
Right.
can't imagine they hold any
It sounds
weight.
like a militia group out of Montana deciding they're going to overtake the U.S. government.
I have several times written on here like Trump rallies.
Yeah.
So it says Russia's FSB security service opens a criminal case against mercenary boss as he vows to steamroll over anyone who gets in his way.
Okay.
All right. So this says Vladimir Putin is facing a major military crisis after Russian mercenary leader Yevgeny Prigozhin declared a war on Moscow's own defense ministry, claiming the Kremlin officials had killed thousands of his soldiers. In a statement issued Friday night, the FSB security agency said it had legally and reasonably begun criminal proceedings against Wagner Group warlord for the organization of an armed insurrection. Russian media outlets TASS reported Saturday morning that Putin plans to make an address soon. So this was a few days ago. This came out on, there's no date. Is there a date? It doesn't say. A few days ago. Politico could not verify the claim that the Wagner troops had entered Rostov, and Prigozhin did not present evidence of massive troop movements that he claimed were underway. But in the early hours of Saturday morning, so a few days ago, videos began circulating on social media that reportedly showed unidentified armed men dressed in camouflage entering Rostov-on-Don, the administrative center of the Rostov region, and seizing government buildings. Sounds kind of like a Trump rally. The feud between Prigozhin and Russia's Ministry of Defense has been building for months and now appears to have boiled over. According to Russian state military, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that Putin is aware of the rapidly unfolding situation and all necessary measures are being taken. Prigozhin's statements and actions are actually the cause of the beginning of an armed civil conflict on the territory of Russia and are a stab in the back for Russian servicemen. The move comes after Prigozhin accused Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu of having hidden colossal failings on the battlefield from Putin, claiming 2,000 Wagner men were killed as the result of the Russian defense. Now, I'm speculating here.
Yeah.
This kind of sounds, and this isn't like a pro-Russian in me. This kind of sounds like Western propaganda.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, remember when the reports came out a few months ago and they're like, it looks like the the numbers aren't adding up to what the U.S. is saying. And then the U.S. was like, but that one has a different colored background, so we can't verify. It was that one video game nerd.
Oh yeah,
the hacker nerd,
the original G,
the OG. Yes. But they were doctored because the one background looked a little different.
Yeah, that's right.
But this guy is like, the Putin government is hiding their colossal failings, and thousands of men actually have been killed, and 2,000 of my men have been killed. And he was saying like up to like 10 or 20,000 Russians have been killed or something like that. And I'm just like, this sounds a lot like freaking or 100,000 soldiers, he's saying, have died. This says in a later statement, Prigozhin called Shoigu and Valery Gerasimov, God, these names, chief of general staff of the Russian armed forces and overall commander of the war in Ukraine, criminals who had destroyed around 100,000 Russian soldiers. So this guy's coming out and saying they're lying to you. Really, more people are dying, and this war is going terribly for the Russians. It just sounds kind of like Western propaganda.
I mean, okay, first of all, this guy's a mercenary. Okay, so
he'll say anything for money, probably.
Yeah, right. Say an NGO, right? Things aren't going real well for him on the ground. He's not real happy with command. Pretend like a non-government organization maybe comes like to him and he's like, hey,
National Endowment for Democracy type organization.
Possibly offering him massive cash to kind of say, hey, you don't got to fire a bullet. All you got to do is
hold your guns, wear camo. It worked great in DC.
Right.
We'll even send some FBI guys to kind of
open some roadblocks for you.
Yeah,
and stuff.
and like infiltrate in there too. And all you got to do is say, Trump won the. I mean, that's the wrong thing. Actually, say, Putin is killing our own or something. Stupid like that. And an audio recording posted just after 5 a.m. Rostov time. I don't know what time Rostov time is, but it's that time.
Miller time.
Prigozhin repeated his threat that his troops would destroy anything that stood in their way. Once again, I'm warning everyone, we will destroy everything around us. You can't destroy us. We have goals. We are ready to die, all 25,000 of us. In response to Prigozhin's allegations, Moscow issued a strong denial, and a procession of generals have lined up to urge Wagner fighters to stand down. In one video appeal, Lieutenant General Vladimir Alexeyev, first deputy chief of the General Staff of Armed Forces, said Prigozhin does not have the authority to give orders. This is a state coup. He insisted, come to your senses. So he's trying to get all the others like, guys, this guy's a nut job. Do you want to die with him? Is what it sounds like. Meanwhile, the deputy commander of Russian forces, known as, or in Ukraine, so the deputy commander of Russian forces in Ukraine, Sergei Servokin, known as General Armageddon, that sounds made up, urged Wagner to hold its position and not turn on its own allies. General Armageddon. Stop the columns, return to the points of permanent deployment, he pleaded. Russia's defense ministry issued a statement in early hours of Saturday morning warning that Ukrainian forces are taking advantages of his provocations on the front lines around the key battleground town of Bakhmut, which Wagner troops previously held. Moscow's top brass also said the 35th and 36th Brigades of Ukraine Marine Corps are on the starting lines for offensive operations. So it just happens to be like during this whole like supposed like offensive operation Ukraine's about to push back. This guy's like, now I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to stage a coup, and I don't know. It sounds fishy to me.
Yeah, I agreed.
It says earlier Friday, the Wagner Group founder questioned Moscow's rationale for launching its invasion of Ukraine, saying the armed forces of Ukraine were not going to attack Russia with NATO, and the war was needed for a bunch of scumbags to triumph and show how strong an army they are. In a bombastic video statement, he called the Russian military leadership evil and vowed to march for justice, threatening anyone who stood in his way. This guy has a death wish. He really does.
Yeah.
In a second message released on his Telegram channel in early hours of Saturday morning, Prigozhin said, at the current time, we are entering Rostov in Russia, adding that conscripts had been sent to turn Wagner Group fighters back. However, he went on to claim those guarding the frontier had greeted his troops with open arms. If anyone gets in our way, we will destroy everything, he said again. The current situation requires maximum, so this is from the governor of Rostov. The current situation requires maximum concentration of all forces to maintain order. Law enforcement agencies are doing everything necessary to ensure safety of residents in the area. I ask everyone to stay calm and do not leave their house without need. What do you think so far?
It doesn't.
Is it adding up to you?
No.
I mean, I don't know Russian, like how they operate, their mindset. I mean, it's potentially could be a thing. I mean, looking at like how things escalate here in the United States sometimes, but 9 times out of 10, actually more than likely 10 times out of 10, those are staged things.
Yeah.
Like J6.
Right.
Totally a freaking FBI orchestrated thing.
Yeah.
Look at, I don't know, any one of these things that's happened, one of these like big terrorist moments, like domestic terrorist things, has the FBI or CIA's print all over it here. So you're when it happens over there, it's like, well, I guess it could happen, but it happened because it happens here. But then again, this was a staged op here, so it's more than likely a stage op there.
Right. Yeah. And
it's more than likely the people that do it here was training them to do it there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Like I said, they have 25,000 people that they decide they're going to march on Moscow with.
Tarek Ambrose says General Armageddon. He definitely gave himself that nickname.
Yes, he did. Like original OG.
This says, whatever this is definitely dismantling for Wagner, the Wagner Group, said a political analyst of some consultancy firm. Says this is the end of Prigozhin and the end of Wagner, an important moment many within the elite will hold against Putin, that things have come this far that the president did not react sooner. That's why his entire story is also a blow to Putin. That's exactly what this is.
Right.
It is. They're trying to make this a blow to Putin because this is what they've been calling for since day one. They're like, well, we're going to put financial pressure on them and put all these like blockades, like import block. What's that called? I can't think of the word that I'm looking for.
Embargoes.
Trade embargoes on them and oil embargoes on them. And the Russian people are going to hurt from this. And that's sad, but maybe they'll just turn and do our job for us. So they'll do what we want and overthrow Putin so we don't have to do it. I mean, that has the NED all over it. And this is what that is. And then they're like, well, this is just a blow to Putin because it just shows how far he's let things come.
Yeah, right. And obviously the casualties are much higher than what
yes.
Right?
Does it reek of Western propaganda, this whole thing?
Extremely, yes.
Now, let's keep going. Let's look at this Zero Hedge article because this one just is fishy. It like kind of like the submarine thing. Like the more you read, the fishier it kind of gets because it almost like de-escalates on its own. It's like, how does that even freaking happen? This one's from Zero Hedge. It says the military deploys as Wagner chief sought for armed mutiny. So it says there are now widespread reports and circulating. Let me try to freaking. I've clicked this button like 3 times. There it goes. There are now widespread reports and circulating footage of additional armored vehicles deployed by military police units in key parts of Russia, including Moscow and Rostov region. So they've amped up their security, like kind of like the U.S. did after J6. Russia's Federal Security Service late Friday announced a criminal case against Wagner mercenary chief Yevgeny Prigozhin, accusing him of incitement to armed rebellion after he declared an open conflict with Russia's military and called on Russians to join the 25,000 Wagner fighters against Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu. I want to scroll down because there's a lot of like Twitter posts that I don't give a shit about.
Right.
Says after months of unchecked, ultra provocative statements from Prigozhin aimed at both top military commanders as well as Kremlin decision makers, it seems the Wagner chief may have finally crossed Putin's lines. It's being reported in Russian state sources that the Russia president has been briefed on the earlier audio tirade made by Prigozhin, which essentially declared war on the defense ministry. The Wagner statement has been circulated widely after it was posted on Telegram late at night local time. And now Prigozhin finally appears to be in hot water under formal investigation for mutiny, per a statement in TASS. Russia's National Anti-Terrorist Committee on Friday demanded that Prigozhin, the founder of the private military company Wagner, stop unlawful actions and said the Russian Federal Security Service started a mutiny investigation in connection with recent statements. He's now saying the audio remarks. Now, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
We just got done saying how this was like a call to arms. This was a mutiny. He even said, I'm going to burn it, destroy everything. He's now saying the audio remarks were merely a call to justice and a march for justice, denying its coup attempt targeted military leadership. So there may be a Wagner attempt underway to walk back the comments. So it sounds to me like he's just like, no, this was just a activist thing, or like this was just a rally. This was just a freaking protest, is what this was. It was a freaking truckers drive on the Capitol or something. I don't know.
5,000 troops with tanks and armor.
Right.
Just a trucker thing.
Says earlier in the days, hours before the remarks, saying the country's military leadership must be stopped, Prigozhin had in surprising turn gone after the very decision to go to war in the first place. The armed forces of Ukraine were not going to attack Russia. So we read that one.
Right.
The latter part of Friday's angry denunciation may prove to finally be his downfall. There are now unverified reports that Moscow is taking extra measures to strengthen security. It says there are breaking reports that Wagner chief Prigozhin has finally completely broken off relations with the Russian military and essentially declared war on the Russian military defense. According to a prominent translator who has examined freshly released audio from Prigozhin's fiery message, the Wagner leader begins with PMC Wagner commanders. Council made a decision. The evil brought by the military leadership of the country must be stopped. The neglect, the lives of soldiers, they forgot the word justice, and we will bring it back. That doesn't sound like a declaration of war there.
No.
That sounds like something at an angry Trump protest. That sounds like something Trump would have said himself.
Yeah.
In probably dumber words.
Yes.
It comes amid unverified reports. How many fucking unverified reports? Like,
right?
Can we verify something?
Yeah. No, because then they would find out it's a big nothing burger.
Comes amid unverified reports that the regular military launched an attack on the Wagner encampment after months of soaring tensions, which the Russian MOD has denied. All of this has quickly given way to reports from the region that Prigozhin is ready to lead a full-on coup against top leadership. I mean, I could see either way.
Yeah.
He's either leading a coup or he's leading a protest. Either way, I could see, but most likely either one of those was brought on by the NED.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And for him to walk that back now and be like, after saying, declaring war, I'm going to destroy everything in my path, blah, 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 to walk that back and be like, you know, I was in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
This was, it wasn't for real. It was just a rally cry type thing. It makes you wonder, did whoever was backing him leave him high and dry? Like, oh, they're onto us. No, we don't know anything about this guy.
When he took off and he was calling other soldiers to help him, and when they saw that no other soldiers were going to follow him except for his own group, that's probably when they were like, well, shit, that didn't pan out.
Well, I think it's more like some NGO pushed him to this.
Yeah.
And then once he started getting heated, he turns back around and he's just like, right, guy?
Yeah, right. After he's like, we'll destroy everything. And they're like, no.
Yeah, well, he did what the NED wanted, but the NED probably, I'm not saying it was the NED, but most likely. Somebody like it.
It has their fingerprints.
So this is just my theory. The NED comes and makes a bunch of promises. And it's like, hey, you help us. We're going to help you with the strength and blah, blah, blah. We'll give you weapons. We'll give you all this shit.
Right.
All you just gotta like stand up. I mean, this is your country. And remember the NED pamphlets that they would give out, like how to stage a coup, pretty much.
Right. Yeah.
How to stage a coup pamphlets. They give him one of those. He's like, oh, this sounds really nice. And then he gets all his guys all worked up, and he's like, yeah, because we got the backing of the. In the end, he's like, well, we can't be caught here.
Yeah, right.
We can't. They can't find out we were
Right.
part of this. And he's like, well, the damage is already done.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was just joking, guys. It was all a joke.
Yeah,
it was just a.
And the thing is that because this guy has stood down, right? And he's been shipped off to Belarus.
Yes.
Right.
Now, this is even more interesting to me. That part of it, like Putin made, like after a couple days. Now you're talking Vladimir Putin. Remember all the reports of Vladimir Putin was like losing his fucking mind.
Right.
He's paranoid.
Yeah.
He's like trigger happy. He's like about to lose his shit. Like he's losing this war. So anything, like we don't know what's going to tip this guy off. You think
This
a
would do it,
fucking coup would be, you think if he was the guy that supposedly would go like set off a freaking dirty bomb
Hand on the button.
like right on his freaking border, you think he would stop short of just going and just wiping all these guys out, just obliterating all of them?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they've led us to believe that Putin is. It's just like he would just roll in with tanks and just machine gun them all down.
Yeah.
Or just drop a dirty bomb right in the middle of their camp. It's like, well, if I can't have it, nobody can have it.
Right.
I mean, that's just what they've made Putin out to be.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if this was just he knows that that's what we think of him, and he's just like, it's walking on eggshells in that country right now to not give off any appearance that things are destabilizing there.
Right.
So whether it is or isn't destabilizing, they can't give that appearance.
Oh, no.
And this guy has to have the coolest head on his shoulders, at least to not give the appearance that he's going to murder the guy. Because that guy's not going to Belarus, dude.
No.
There's no way in hell that guy's going to Belarus.
What? No, I wish him good health.
Yeah, the Belarus is key. It's code word for hell.
Yeah, right.
Because this one is also from NPR. It says Putin insists that Russia is united now after the Wagner Group uprising, and he vows to uphold he made a deal with these guys.
Sure he did.
Now, the Putin that you've come to know through the headlines, the Western headlines.
Yeah.
Even if he took out the leader, do all his followers get just a free pass if they go home?
No.
You think he's the Ulysses? Was it Grant that let Jackson's men go home?
Yeah.
And he's just like, no, just go home, guys.
Yeah,
just fucking go home.
Bygones be
all
bygones.
go home.
Yeah.
You think the media has made him out to be the General Grant type that he's showing here? It's like, guys, that was fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Do you want to die or you want to go home?
Right.
We'll go home. All right, then.
Yeah. Let's not talk about this again.
Yeah. I don't know. It definitely changes the narrative of what the mainstream media has made Putin out to be.
Right.
In his first address since a group of rebellious mercenaries marched towards Moscow over the weekend, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that the country has united in opposition against the uprising. In a brief 5-minute speech, Putin seemed to reaffirm a deal he agreed on to end the conflict, which resulted in Wagner Group commander Yevgeny Prigozhin being exiled to Belarus. Though Putin didn't reference Prigozhin by name, he angrily denounced the organizer of the uprising as a traitor. Sounds like Biden and Trump.
Yeah, right.
The guy that we won't talk about. My predecessor. It says Prigozhin, nicknamed Putin's chef, runs the mercenary group that has been critical to some of Russia's battlefield success in Ukraine and elsewhere. He was once a close confidant of the Russian president. In his own speech, maybe he was Putin's actual chef. That's why he's nicknamed that. And like, we can make a fall guy out of this guy. And he's just like, dude, I just cook for the guy. What the fuck are you talking about? In his own speech earlier in the day, Prigozhin said Wagner forces marched on Moscow to protest the failures of the Russian leadership. Again, it sounds just like a Trump rally.
Right.
It doesn't sound like, well, it sounds like the kind of coup that they make, what they call a coup here in the United States.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just like, oh, these guys like hold picket signs and walked around and maybe broke a couple
Chad,
things.
Right?
Well, I'm talking specifically like J6.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's a coup on this country. They
Right.
tried to overthrow
Right,
this
yeah.
country.
This is the saddest day since 9/11.
Yes. It says Prigozhin said the Wagner Group did not attack any Russian soldiers on the ground, but acknowledged that they fired back on military forces that allegedly attacked Wagner fighters from the air.
Wait, what?
Yeah, apparently these mercenaries are flying planes and attacking planes against Russian forces. I don't know, because it says Putin said Russian pilots had died in the fighting. Prigozhin previously said 30 Wagner fighters had been killed. So maybe the pilots were shooting down on the ground and the Wagner Group was shooting back. I don't know. Putin also reaffirmed other tenets of the deal to end the weekend uprising. He thanked the Wagner fightings who avoided bloodshed and said those who did not participate in the rebellion could sign contracts with the Russian military. Any mercenaries who chose not to join would be killed?
That's would be my thought, but no.
Would be allowed to go home or go to Belarus with Prigozhin. Those were the options they gave. And it sounds like the crazy, deranged, super paranoid Putin that they've claimed he is.
Chop him up and hang him around the country.
And again, this could be all just a show for the media, and then he will go chop him
be
up.
like, yeah, why don't you go on to Belarus, and we got a house waiting for you there.
Yeah,
right?
and the plane just crashes on the way. Earlier in the day, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov had described Putin's speech as one that would define the fate of Russia. I'm not sure what that means, but I do think this is kind of a defining moment for Putin.
Yeah.
Because this shows the world, like, the world wanted a J6 moment.
Yes.
The world wanted, at least the Western world wanted, everything to just collapse on itself. They wanted the Russia pitted against Russia. They wanted to portray that the people were against Putin and that Putin would get pissed off and angry and just wipe them all out.
Right. They wanted the Putin that was going to, like you said, just string these guys up and hang them as a model. What happens if you come up against me?
Right. And they hoped that would get other people pissed off. It's like, really, you're going to kill, because the NAD still handing out pamphlets, you know?
Right.
It's like, this guy's willing to kill his own people that are just upset that we're at
just
war.
want justice.
And so another uprising, maybe a bigger uprising, then Putin rolls in more tanks, and then he's just looks like this freaking like mass murderer of his own people at this point. But instead, he's like, go home.
Yeah.
And the NAD's like, fuck.
Right.
That didn't work. It's like, what do you mean? But you mean you're gonna kill him, right? It's like, no, just
go home.
Just go. And if you don't want to go home, if you don't like it here, Belarus is over there. Just go
to Belarus.
Just
You'll be fine. I wish you good health.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, please, if you want, here, sign back up in the army.
Yeah.
We'll let you rejoin the army. But if you don't want, just fucking go home.
Yeah.
And I feel like this whole 2 days of build up was just crushed for Western media. And it's just and this I think will define Putin, just his decision. And he probably knew it. And his advisors you cannot kill these guys.
Right. You may want to.
You can't the world is watching right now. Yeah. What are you going to do in this moment? He's like, fucking send him home.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be a plane crash on the way home, but nobody
car explosion, poison fish.
You just never know.
Yeah.
But send them home.
Yeah. But in the meantime, in America, this thing is portrayed as this massive crushing blow of Russia. Yeah. The country's divided.
This just shows that he has waited too long, and the pains that is taken at home. And he's just like, guys, we got this.
Yeah.
Just go home. We don't even need you. We don't even need you guys.
Yeah. Right.
That's how much we got this.
Yeah.
Just fucking go home. Putin held up better in this scenario than a $30 Logitech controller did in a submarine.
Nice way to tie it together.
Right? I mean, how do you, what's your opinion on this whole scenario? What happened, how this went down, how the media portrayed it, how it turned out not like the media said it would.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the NED got to this guy. They pushed him to do a coup. you know, he started going to it.
The
found
stick,
out,
like the meme, like do it. Come on,
yeah,
now,
right,
do
yeah,
a coup.
come on, yeah. And he looked back; they were gone. So then he tries to walk it back. By then, damage is gone. They've already killed 30 Russians, and he's like, shit. And so Putin knows he's on the world stage. He's like, hey, you guys, you know, we're united. Sign up if you want. If not, then just go home. And the NED's like, fuck. And they're like, but wait, we can spin this. And then the media comes out and they're like, oh my gosh, look at Russia collapsing on itself. Russia's fine.
I mean,
Right?
that's at least what they're portraying, and that's what
Right.
they want to portray is Russia. We're okay, guys.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
they say
Now,
they say we're doing bad, everything's detrimental. Everything's good.
Yeah. Maybe behind closed doors, he's flipping tables and cussing people out and kicking puppies. But on the world stage, he looks like he's got shit handled.
You're right. Derek says Putin can't win a war in Ukraine, but he can stop an invasion from a mercenary group in his own country. Look, he's not useless. Now, I don't know. I think from a PR stance, he won the day.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, maybe things are imploding on him.
Yeah.
But he won the PR side of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he's doing a more bang up job than a lot of politicians here in the United States on portraying, look, everything's fine. Here in the United States, like other countries have to look on us and be like, how the fuck are they still standing as a country? Yeah. All they're doing is imploding constantly. And when there's potentially actual or maybe made up coups in his country, he's just like, we got this. We're fine. Yeah. Everything's good. Like we don't have that global presence anymore where we're like, no, our country is rock solid. We are the United States of America. No, it's just like, yeah, fuck the left and fuck the right and Trump and Biden and blah, blah, blah. And the world's got to look at that and be like, united who?
Yeah, right.
United what? There's nothing united about you guys.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And Russia's like, look at us. We're pretty united.
Yeah.
There was a coup. I survived a coup. He might even play it off.
Yeah.
Like, even if it wasn't a coup and it was, like, part of him was probably like, we need to downplay this and say, no, there's not a coup. There's it was just like a freaking protest and we all worked that out. But another part of him was like, no, I survived show how much of a badass he is. I survived a coup.
Yeah, it'd be funny if you came out and was like, yeah, this is like our J6, you know.
he needs. This was the worst moment, the saddest moment in Russian history since 2014. I don't know. Since the fall of the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But this is another thing that they're going to continue to rake over the coals for the next couple weeks, right? And I bet you
this might just disappear because it didn't do what it was supposed to do, and they're like, "Fuck, let's never talk about that again."
Possibly, or maybe there's another coup in the works, right?
I mean, obviously, there's another coup in the works. There's been coups in the works since 2014.
Right, NED's got what?
Since the freaking, there's been coups in the works since the Soviet Union.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And they got 200 different countries that they're working on.
It's like, just fucking leave them all alone. Just bring. Actually, you guys from the NED, you can just stay over there.
Yeah, you keep working on that.
Just leave us out of it. Leave them out. Like, I don't know.
So
too much meddling.
Do we hear that this Pragozia guy or whatever his name is, does he just quietly go away, or do we hear he gets killed in a car accident? Right.
I don't know. I think like over here, it would be a car accident because they think they're like untouchable. And it's like, we could just throw out there that this guy committed suicide with 2 bullets to the back of the head.
Yeah.
And people will believe it. Over there, I don't know. Like, there's too much speculation that like his advisors have to be like, we can't just blow up his car or poison him because that's what the news expects you to do. Like, you literally have to let him go home. He's like, you mean go home, wink, wink.
Yeah.
No, Vlad.
Yeah, he has to go home.
If you want to win this, just let him go home. What's he gonna do from Belarus?
Right.
In reality, what's he gonna do? It's like, fuck, fine, I'll let him go home.
But can he kill his family?
But when this war's over,
yeah, right.
He's going up in a fiery blaze.
Yeah.
It's like, that's fine. We can compromise
after
on
the
that.
war.
Yes.
But do you feel like, and this is kind of related, but kind of not.
Oh,
But this is something that's been in my head during this whole thing. Do you feel like Russia is seriously that incompetent that they can't take Ukraine, or do you feel like they're holding back? I mean, maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but I just feel like they're just not trying.
they're just
on purpose. Like maybe they don't want to come across as invaders, and I don't know. It's for some reason it just seems like they're holding back.
I mean, there is the potential that he's just doing what he said he's doing, and he's just like securing the areas, like those regions that want to be Russian, that the Ukrainians are racist against anyway.
Right.
I mean, there is that possibility.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there is the possibility that maybe he's not as a big of deal as he thinks he is.
Right.
But Ukraine's not as big. The Ukraine would have been
freaking
wiped off the map, I think, if it wasn't for NATO fully 100% backing this whole entire thing, providing all the military equipment, providing all the freaking military intel, probably training. I guarantee you we have troops there too.
Oh, fuck yeah.
You can say we don't. We at least have a lot of CIA freaking forces, like special ops type forces there. We do. We have to.
Right.
But if it wasn't for that, Russia would have rolled over Ukraine. I don't know what's holding Russia back, whether it is NATO's presence, mostly the United States presence in Ukraine, or if it is Putin only doing, like, trying to secure what he thinks is his.
Right.
And he's just like, well, this is what I want. I'm not going to go any further than this. But if NATO fucks around, we're going to take all of Ukraine. Is basically what he said.
Right.
So I don't know at this point. I really don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I feel like they're holding back. I feel like they're waiting for something to happen. And so they're kind of just going in with like a police force type thing.
I think both sides, NATO, not Ukraine, but NATO and Russia are both just waiting for something, somebody to fire the first shot before all hell breaks loose. It's like, no, you do it. No, you do it. No, you do it. And Ukraine's just fucked in the middle.
Right.
And Zelensky is just making bank off of the United States.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Derek Ambrose says, I don't know why he doesn't just Novichok the cities that he's destroying anyway. You keep the infrastructure without these pesky people shooting back at you. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on either one of these stories?
They're both filler, man. And like there's so much that they're distracting from right now, and they're using these two things that would be no-go stories typically.
Well, here's an option. Maybe this freaking Prigozhin guy was part of the Ukrainian / NATO offensive plan strategy that they've had in the works all this time. And they were just trying, maybe it took so long because they were trying to convince this guy or find the dollar, or maybe find a guy that would do this. Maybe this internal beef was part of that offensive. And we're going to find that out like 20 years from now, that, this guy was actually, the offensive was this guy. And then that was a major flop. And Putin was just like, yeah, just fucking go home. And we're like, well, that was our only plan. That's the plan we've been working on for the last 6 months. What? Now we got nothing.
Yeah. Right. Well, but I can also see, because remember they found those like mass graves. I mean, maybe this guy and his group were responsible for, maybe their whole thing down there was like, hey, just create as much chaos as possible.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there. All I know is the stories they throw at us, and I don't believe most of them.
No, and you can't, because they're all bullshit. Goes to Kiev.
the freaking chick with the airsoft guns.
Yeah, right. Miss Ukraine. Yeah, fighting it back. Oh, wait, but she's Nazi.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Does this war ever fucking end?
Yeah, when they figure out the next one. Maybe it's Taiwan.
China.
Yeah, China.
Taiwan and China. That's all I got for this. I mean, a bunch of nothing sandwiches.
Yeah.
That was supposed to we're supposed to hyper focus, which we did. I mean, we made it over 2 hours, so we did what we were supposed to. Hyper focus on these two things. Pay more attention to the stuff that we didn't talk about. The few things you mentioned. I'm interested in the Epstein stuff. It's not going to go anywhere. It's fucking it's JP Morgan.
Right.
It's not going to go anywhere. Just like him sinking the Titanic hasn't gone anywhere yet.
Right.
This whole freaking coup in Russia, it's nothing. I mean, if they tell you that the people are uprising, it's not happening. I mean, no. I don't know. I don't know where to go with this. It was just worth talking about, just because
it's worth talking about it because it's about
hilarious, first of all.
But it's hilarious, but it's also about what's not said, right?
Exactly.
That's the key. Again, what's the right hand doing when the left hand is, signing or whatever. So
I want to find out how this Biden stuff's going.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything even about the Trump freaking trials?
No.
Like that's kind of been
and
just
maybe
come and gone.
And maybe that's because it's a nothing sandwich too, and they just don't want you to know that.
Right, exactly.
Right?
So, I mean, you've got a sitting president and a former president, like both having charges against them, and we're talking about billionaires in the bottom of the ocean.
Right. Yeah.
That really doesn't affect us in any way, shape, or form. It's not like they were on the verge of like some breakthrough in technology or advancement in civilization, or I mean, they were just supposed billionaire explorers or whatever that we're looking for space aliens or something.
Right. Yeah. And the coup is just, somebody who's been manipulated to create a scene.
Oh yeah, and that's all it was.
Yeah,
just like J6 with people manipulated to make a scene one way or another. That's all we got for this one. Let us know what you think about either one of these stories. Find any legitimacy. Is there any theories you got out there? Spicy theories, conspiracy theories. We like them all.
We do.
Yeah, I mean, it could be the most off-the-wall conspiracy theory regarding the Titan or regarding this.
Maybe the Titan was taken by aliens, right?
Possible. Is it near the Bermuda Triangle?
No,
it wasn't at all. Let us know what you think. You can find us all over the social medias at our handle at Break the Bell Pod. We do have a Facebook chat forum called the Breaking the Bell Forum. You can hang out there if you want to remain anonymous and be crazy anonymously. You can hang out there. Your friends won't really see what you're doing there, or you can follow me on Twitter, which is where I haven't been on Twitter. This summer's just kind of been.
It's been a crazy summer.
I just kind of disconnected from social media a bit because I like to live in real life sometimes.
Right.
But I do like to hang out on Twitter. So if you want your friends to know, or your friends already know that you're fucking nuts, come hang out with me on Twitter and anywhere else you can find us. Like, subscribe, share, all that stuff that we tell you at least 2 or 3 times per episode to do. So that way we can be famous and rich, but mostly rich and kind of famous.
Yes.
Are you here next Monday?
No, I'm not.
Jesus, fuck, man.
I know.
We'll figure something out hopefully next week. How many months are you gone this time?
Well, just this week, and then I'll be back the next week, but then I'll be gone the following week.
Where are you next week?
Well, next week I'm let's see. I'll be in Des Moines.
There's in Des Moines.
There's a party, a 4th of July party. And then the next week I'll be here, but the following week I'll be in Okoboji.
So the fuck's in Okoboji?
Just vacation.
You just went on vacation.
Well, I know, but it's summertime.
Good God, man. Whatever happened to you, we don't take breaks from this thing. And this year you're like, actually, I'm going to take all the breaks, like all of them. I'm making up for the last 3 years in a month.
I know.
We'll figure it out without Bill. I might just fire Bill next week.
I was thinking about we could put some of our like classic old shows on, right?
I have a 3 strikes you're out policy.
I think I'm on like 6.
Well, you're out twice. We'll figure something out for next week. Be back here next week. Hopefully next. What day is 4th of July? Is it on Wednesday?
It's Tuesday.
Tuesday. So it won't be Tuesday. I guarantee you that. Potentially on Monday, I'll be doing something. Maybe it'll be a short, sweet, like
Shoot off
happy
some fireworks.
Yeah, in this space. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I'm going to do.
Now, if you do Wednesday, I'll be here.
Why the fuck would I do Wednesday?
I don't know. Why
That just
wouldn't
doesn't
you?
even make because the show releases on. How am I
Oh,
supposed to
that's
release the show Wednesday morning if we don't record it till Wednesday
Isn't
night?
it live?
But I released the episode in podcast land.
Just release it same time.
It doesn't work that way. There's a lot of stuff that
Just
goes into
do
it.
just put out the live stream the 1984 show. That's a good one.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. That was an old one.
Yeah.
We might have sucked back then.
No,
it was like show 3. We got to get out of here. This has been fun. Let us know what you think. Come back. All the stuff we tell you to do. Definitely come. Please come back. For the love of God,
Yes.
come back.
Tell your friends about us.
We'll catch you next week or maybe not. Have a great rest of your week.
Peace.
Goodbye.
The Break the Bell podcast is brought to you by you. So pat yourself on the back because without you, we would be talking to ourselves. A special thanks to our Patreon members, Justin Zielinski, Remzo Martinez, Stephanie Parker, and T.O. Jacobson. A shout out to our sponsors, Run Your Mouth Coffee, the On the Run podcast, and Goulash Media. If you'd like to help support us, visit patreon.com/breakthebell or buy our garbage at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Get back here next week and let us continue to invade your ear holes. And as always, never stop talking.